Even the most wholesome video on internet gets some form of hate with little bit of attention, and when things like gender dysphoria, sexual orientations are still new for many generations and a big group of people still need to openly accept it, obviously with content related to these topics will get hate as transphobia is a very real thing. That's why it's very important to have a good person and a good content creator to represent the community, but unfortunately, Lily Tino is neither of those. So Lily is a trans woman who started to post about her transitions on TikTok around 2022 at the end. She posts variety of TikToks but prominently food review in restaurants in San Francisco. She actually streams the whole time which generally does capture some interactions with waiters.
Hi. I use she, her pronouns. I'm not sir. Yeah, like it's like a knife in the heart. I did specifically ask ahead of time not to be called sir. Yeah, I'm just gonna go.
So here you see how the waiter called her sir, which pretty evident wasn't intentional and immediately apologized after she called the waiter out. So up to that nothing bad happened, but she wasn't having it. So she left, which I mean you felt offended and don't feel comfortable there, leave, no problem. But recording and putting it out there is a stretch when it's a public place and it affects the business. And an email beforehand about your pronouns preference doesn't ensure that every worker will be aware of that.
No, I'm not sir. Not sir. Not sir. But the guy who dropped the food off, he called me sir twice in a row.
And in this case, she made fuss about it to the point where it might affect the person's job. And worst part is, he is just trying to do his work and he is apologetic. The biggest irony is she is allowed to bully literal minimum wage workers in the name of trans rights and wants gender neutral language while she herself uses pronouns for the waiter without prior knowledge of his pronouns preference.
The guy who dropped the the food off, he called me sir twice in a row.
The second thing which stirred up drama for Lily Tino is when she cosplayed as Miss Rachel. And if you don't know about Miss Rachel, is the biggest children's creator and parents are comfortable with Miss Rachel teaching their kids on internet. And she literally makes content for toddlers.
Hi, friends! Today we're going to talk about something super important, what it means to be transgender. It's a big word, but I promise that it's easy to understand. Ready to learn? The first thing I want you to do is close your eyes. Now think, do you feel like a boy, a girl, or a little bit of both? Do you have your answer? Great. Now I want you to imagine that everyone keeps telling you that you're something else, even though in your heart you know who you are. Wouldn't that make you sad inside? People who feel like this are transgender. And if you're not—
So cosplaying as Miss Rachel, you are targeting 2 to 3 years age kids who doesn't even know proper words. And what is this realization how you feel girl or boy? This mentality of diagnosing kids without any scientific or professional way, this could literally affect the kid to think this way without even knowing about basic physical education. I think transgender education should be available to kids as it will help them in their future navigate their life better. But that should be done after a certain age and with professionalism, not from a random trans woman who runs off posts like these in between those contents. Kids really don't need to get exposed to these things so early, and it's horrible that she constantly does try to involve kids. And speaking of that, she did talk about getting her balls removal surgery on Disneyland.
I'm gonna get banned from Disney. I swear we're about to get banned from Disney. Last summer, I got my cake pops removed, and the plan up until recently was to get my marshmallow wand reconfigured into a marshmallow tunnel. Unfortunately, a few weeks ago, I noticed some hair regrowth on my marshmallow wand. That's bad because the outside of the wand is what becomes the inside.
I hope you got the idea what she is talking about. but with using simplified words. Now, this could be because TikTok might shadow ban or restrict the content, or just to rage bait because her contents are like rage bait, while attracting kids. And mind you, this is the same page with TikToks like this.
Today on my stream, I will be trying a ding dong. Wait. No. See, I'm also trying things that are filled with cream.
She knows it's wrong and acknowledges it, but still continues to do this, knowing it's wrong, and using kid friendly food to describe body parts. It's weird, it's disgusting, and it's nasty.
When you're talking about surgery, why do you do it in the most public places? You could talk about it in your house. I also noticed that you talked about it in like a kids area, kind of like Disneyland.
That Disney video, huh? A lot of the commenters on that video seemed to think that there was a row of children in front of me that I was preaching to as I filmed it. But in reality, it was a really loud cafe where I could barely hear my mom right next to me, much less the table next to me.
Let's say the kids at Disneyland didn't hear you, but the fact that your page also have these videos and it's a Disneyland video, kids gonna watch it. And clearly, I can hear kids in background from your mic, so obviously they have heard you talk too.
What I really think people have a problem with is that I am being a trans person in public. And that's really what this voicemail is getting at, that being trans in public in general is not okay, right? Like they're saying that I should film at home.
Is
Why?
constantly you talk about these at public places and transport. I don't wanna hear anyone to talk about their private part surgery, locked up in a bus, gagging in disgust and no way to escape.
At home. Why? Trans people deserve to feel safe at a restaurant or at the grocery store or just walking down the street, because in 2024, we don't. And that's why I film in public, so that you can see I'm living my life and you don't need to be afraid of me or any other trans person.
Okay, lady, you are at this point just using your trans card as a shield. No one is saying don't be trans in public. You are talking about bottom surgery in detail. Where's the civility? And trust me, I also don't want to listen to a middle-aged, big cis man or woman talking about how they ripped open their butt crack while chatting and giving details of their hemorrhoid surgery. That will be equally disgusting in a public transport where I can't escape that awkward situation. Private talks and informations, not private only for your comfort, but in regard of others around you and respecting their boundary and comforts.
I bet you didn't know that Kurt Cobain was probably trans. Here's why. First off, Kurt wore a lot of women's clothing. And when asked about this, they replied that they wore dresses all the time because they felt comfortable and free. And just look at Kurt in these pictures. They look so happy. And in
This next part is so unbearable to put together. That how much this lady spreads misinformations with zero regard of someone's legacy and respect. So historically, wearing cross-gender dress is a form of art for rebellion, setting free from societal gender norms. A lot of rock stars use this method, and in old society, wearing female dress and being free in it was a hard slap to the patriarchy. So simply wearing women dresses and even being comfortable in it doesn't make anyone transgender.
interview about their childhood, Kurt said that they mostly hung out around girls and that at one point they thought they might be gay.
He didn't come out as gay, he suspected. So obviously he would have known. And many adults with sensible thinking like Kurt Cobain does have a tendency to question their sexual orientation at the certain time of their life. Plus, now even it is true being gay has nothing to do with being trans, cause both are freaking different concepts of gender dysphoria and sexual orientation.
Have the vocabulary yet to express their gender identity will describe what they're feeling as being gay. That's exactly what I did in middle school. Kurt is also quoted as saying that they identify more with the feminine than with the...
Now you are projecting your personal experiences and modern terminology on past figures who might have totally different socio-economical, developmental
Will
upbringing.
never be able to tell us themselves, but the evidence makes it pretty obvious they were trans. That might be why Kurt's no longer with us. Maybe Kurt knew that we weren't ready.
Kurt Cobain's death was a result of multiple complex issues with mental health and addiction, but she completely disregarded that with a distorted narrative which is very dangerous to spread through her massive platform. It's a direct harm to Cobain's legacy and his family's wound to losing him. She did the same thing with Abraham Lincoln.
Trans women getting pregnant is not as far off as you'd think. In the past 10 years, 50 babies have been born from a uterus transplant. How this works is a person with a damaged or missing uterus gets a new uterus. Then they get pregnant, then they give birth to a child via C-section. The implanted uterus is then removed so that the person doesn't need to be on anti-rejection meds for the rest of their life. So far, these implants have only been attempted on cis women, but there's nothing that says it couldn't work on a trans woman. After all, my hormone levels are pretty similar to a cisgender woman, so why not? The main thing in the way is that the science is new.
Oh my god, so much misinformations. So all of these 50 cases are done on cis women. Have every female body functioning system like proper pelvic bone, ovary, fallopian tube, glands producing female hormones. Only uterus doesn't magically produce babies. There's multiple cases where cis women bodies also rejected uterus. So how are trans women gonna their body gonna fully have the uterus? And to be pregnant, multiple aspects work like uterine lining to properly hold the baby, which every cis woman shed every month as period. Then hormones like HCG, HPV, progesterone, oxytocin to work in different trimesters to serve different purposes. Only estrogens won't be enough. So you're gonna push all those hormones from outside too? Hormones are needed to even start the labor contraction. And even initial immunity of the baby comes from mother through placenta, like antibody IgG, and those aren't available to push from the outside. It's a far-fetched idea to perform. It's need a lot of time and research to actually be valid, but she is out here spreading misinformations, giving people false hope. A lot of things are shady and weird about Lily. There's even a essay allegations against her from another trans creator, but I didn't find things much serious. It felt pretty petty drama to me, so I'm not going through this. But it's just show how weird she is that even our own trans community doesn't like her. So that's it for this video. I hope you like it, and if you did, hit the subscribe button. Bye bye.